Hi, my name is Avram Gross. I go by AY. I've seen a lot of people struggle with Aftershoot, and they don't like the AI culling results. So I'm going to show you how I cull for both clients and myself, which involves a few different things. It involves Aftershoot, a game controller, as well as a piece of software like Controller Companion that lets you use your controller um, as basically a mouse, essentially. What I recommend is to use Aftershoot as an assistant for culling, but not do the culling for you. So go to your Aftershoot, create a new album, go to the photos that you want to cull, import from this folder. You can choose the type of shoot it is. Over here, so AI automated cull, you're going to go to customized cull and customize it as you want. I'm going to set this to strict and to standard groups for now, but you could use whatever you want. You could use overwrite if it's a new culling project, and then go to start culling. Now Aftershoot is going to go ahead and cull those photos for you. Now generally people find that the culling is okay, but it does make mistakes. So what I recommend doing is going through it by hand. And again, we're going to use controller companion, so with a game controller, so that way you won't have as much issues with things like carpal tunnel or repetitive stress injury or strain injury to your wrists. And you could set up controller companion however you please. This is how I have it set up. For Mac users, I will provide an alternative in the video description as well. Now that Aftershoot is finished doing the AI culling, you could start at all, but I typically go to selected. And I'm going to go to some outdoor shots just to more easily show. So I'm more familiar with these. So here you can see the photo that Aftershoot chose and all the images in the set, essentially. So in general, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this button over here to go back and forth, and up and down with obviously up and down. And I'm going to go through, and this button is select. I'm going to go through and just quickly select my favorites of each set. So I'm not relying on Aftershoot as much. Again, I'm using it for assistance. Again, I have B mapped to the face, and I have A mapped to zoom in. So I can move my cursor over here, as you can see on my screen, and I can zoom in easily on the face. I'm just going through, and is it sharp? And that's basically how I cull an Aftershoot. Now, to show you quickly why this helps a lot is, let's say you go to some group photos. So here's a group photo, right? So I have A set to zoom in, but I have B that I could just quickly switch between faces. And now I could quickly go through all these photos and just choose what I want just by doing this. And this is how I recommend you use Aftershoot. I recommend you use the eyes to see over here quickly what's in focus, what's not focus, and to choose your own selections as opposed to relying just on Aftershoot. So you're using Aftershoot as an assistant, not as the final call, which I think is very important. But then you could typically go ahead and ignore things like purple, but again, like this mist. Over here, Aftershoot mist, because this is really a fine photo, and it's marking it as eyes closed just because of how the dad's, the way his face is looking, it looks like his eyes are closed. And this is how I recommend you use Aftershoot with a game controller. And you could zoom in, you You could also set this from auto to different custom levels. And this is the best way to call. As you can see, I deal with large families. To call large families quickly, you could see, and you're double checking Aftershoot and making your own selections. So I'm just going, as you can see, on my game controller, what I'm doing. And you can make this as advanced and as basic as you want.